What's up everyone, I'm Dwayne and I'm a dude with an Autotude, and today I'm here with my friend Brian showing off his Pro Street pickup. Comment below if you know what I've got here beside me, but without further ado, let's get into it. Hey Brian, thanks for meeting us today.
Yeah, no problem.
Showing us your pickup. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've done underneath?
Okay, this started out as obviously a 66 Chevy truck, and this is just the factory frame rails, front to back. Nothing major's been really hand fabricated to make the drivetrain fit and run, really, other than the cross member for the back of the transmission. The whole chassis obviously has been smooth, cleaned up everywhere. I've removed everything that wasn't necessary. We really started this thing obviously from scratch, but the whole goal was, when I first started this, was not to take it to this level.
It always
gets
to this level. There's always something to do, right?
It just snowballed, because it seemed like every part we took off and started working on it and put it in our hands.
Right.
It was like, well, we need to deburr this, we need to deburr that, we need to round this corner. Well, now that we've done that, we probably better prime it, and get a good base on it before we spray color on it. And yeah, it just snowballed. So,
well, something I noticed, the detail on this, is that most people don't see when the truck's down, is that what you see on the front of this bumper is exactly what you're going to see on the back of this bumper. It's that nice.
Yeah, it's
that nicely
as you can see, it's shiny underneath, about as shiny as it is on top.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I've seen it in all these shows here in Wichita, and I've never really laid down to look under it, but I didn't expect this.
So the drivetrain, V8, turbo 350 transmission, frame rails are the stock width until you get to the back of the cab. And the back of the cab, this has been narrowed about 7 inches. And then once the narrowing was done, I boxed all this in back here, basically for strength and for cleanliness.
Yes, I like that.
The rear end housing is a Ford 9-inch. It was out of a 69 Fairlane 500. It was just a nodular iron case. It wasn't a posi when we got it, but we obviously put a posi-track in it.
Yeah.
But all the seams on the housing where the rear cover's welded in from the factory, all that's been smoothed and filled. And
nice.
As you can see, all the welds for all the brackets have all been filleted and filled.
And I like your adjustments you put on for the brackets for your spillovers.
Yeah, and of course, when you build something like this, you're really not sure how it's going to ride. So you usually have to mess with spring rates. You have to get a weaker spring or a stronger spring. So I tried to build a little bit of adjustment into it just in case. And I got some good advice from the guys at Art Morrison Chassis of what I was doing. And they recommended a spring and a spring rate, and just so happened it was perfect.
So you haven't had to change
it? No, I didn't have to do anything. So it worked out really well. The fuel tank in here, this is hand built by a local guy here in town. His name's Chris Rinke. He's a great fabricator, great craftsman in his own right. I gave him pretty much a cardboard box pattern for this.
Is that stainless?
It is all stainless.
Stainless.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I gave him a box pattern, and just so he knew what the size was going to be. And when I went and picked this thing up, I was blown away, because I had a rectangle in my head with square corners, and he produced he produced this, bead rolled the whole thing. He put radiuses on the front and the back.
I'm looking at these like it's made part of a manufactured of a car.
And the sides of the tank are all welded in, top, bottom, around the back. He just did a beautiful job on it, way more than I was expecting.
Everything is so clean under here. I was looking at your proportioning valves for your brakes. And got a fan over here.
Yeah, that's the
transmission
condenser for the air conditioning. Yeah,
that's a great place to put that.
Actually, they talked about putting it up front, in front of the radiator, but didn't have a lot of experience with a street blower motor. And I knew they got warm. I knew they had a tendency to get really warm in the summer.
Right.
And especially if you're sitting still in traffic. So I decided to put a remote condenser and fan unit on here, just so it didn't rob cool air coming through the radiator.
It'll get air from the road.
Yeah, well, and this fan blows right up through it.
So it'll keep it cool.
Yeah, and it was designed to be remotely mounted. So
you got your battery box back here.
Yeah, it's got an Optima battery in there. It's laying sideways, laying on its side.
I like how you've done everything on this. Your fuel pressure regulators back here.
Yep.
This is your transmission cooler.
Yes.
And back here I noticed the brake for your handbrake, the mechanical brake that looks like a caliper.
Yeah, it absolutely is a little mechanical caliper. Caliper used on go-karts. And it's a really simple operation. It's just got a single cable pull, and there's a floor mounted lever in the cab to activate it. So originally these had an emergency brake or parking brake system with a series of cables that ran down both frames, and they went in both backing plates on each side. And I wanted a park brake in case I needed it, but I didn't want to look at all those cables.
But you don't have it. You also don't have it to where they come up here and then there's one. I think they used to, or at least mine has the T off.
Yeah, it splits.
Comes back. It splits.
Yep, it splits and then goes down both sides.
Yeah.
So this just has a single cable that runs up here.
That's nice.
And yeah, it's really convenient. It goes into the cab, bottom of the cab right there. So.
Man, just all the detail under this thing is just, get your pinstriping on your bell housing.
Yeah, my youngest son did that when he was like 9. The control arms in here are out of what would be an 80, I think 83 to 87 pickup. This, I went to a salvage and got the whole front clip on this because I wanted to switch to the rubber bushed control arms. The original control arms on this truck had steel bushings in it, and I wanted something a little quieter, you know, didn't transfer all that road noise. Plus, if I need replacement parts for any of this front end years down the road, you can get it at any parts store.
Right.
And so I went ahead and used all GM components and parts. That cross member from 1963 clear through 1987 bolts in all those trucks. The same cross member.
I didn't realize
same width. Same length, everything. Same track width.
Well, that was real smart of them to.
Well, yeah, and I of course discovered that just by accident. I went and got one, and I figured I'd have to do a lot of frame modification to get it to go in, and it bolted in. So I was able to utilize that. We went to the updated Saginaw power steering box and power steering assemblies out of the later model truck as well. It's got Beltec drop spindles in it, and the calipers have all been, of course, all those pieces have all been ground smooth and primed and filled, and so it's just smooth everywhere.
Is it standard springs in the front, or did you drop the springs?
It's got drop springs,
springs,
it's got a set of Beltec drop springs.
So how much is it dropped in the front?
Oh shoot, 6 inches.
6.
Yeah, between the spindles and the springs. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'd like to see this thing, take the cover off, pull it off the lift.
Okay.
See the outside. I haven't seen this before. I've seen the truck, but I haven't seen the truck with the hood down.
Let's do it.
It's always up.
Well, let's get this thing on the ground so you guys can look at it.
First time I've ever seen it with the hood down.
Okay.
Every show I've been at, the hood's up. So it's
it actually
really
looks
cool
like a truck now.
Yeah, it's really cool to see the color on it. So what color is this?
The color's torch red, 1990 Chevrolet color.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Corvette color.
That's pretty.
I saw the color on a 35 Ford Cabriolet one day, and stopped and asked the guy what color his car was, and he graciously told me, because he loved it about as much as I did. So that was it. It all started there. The hood on this truck, we'll just start there. The hood normally has park lamps in here, and we've obviously removed those, filled all that in. There's also a seam all the way around this hood that comes down here, down the side, and then fills right there. So all that's been welded together and smoothed out.
Like a one piece.
Yeah, like one piece. And then the front bumper, we removed all the bolts, and the front of this bumper is normally has a really big round crown on it.
Okay.
So I built this sharp lip here.
Oh, to match.
To match that right there. just subtle.
It's subtle, but yeah, that's
and it's
pretty
just
cool.
Trying to, I don't know, improve on some of the styling cues. Once you start filling stuff in and things like that, it does change the look of it. And spending that time and doing that on the bumper made the bumper look a lot better.
Right.
Because they're pretty ugly.
Well, you did enough to where you personalized it and styled it, but it looks like it could have been original, or the way it should have been original.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
there was kind of a lot of things like that during the build on this thing. And once we get under the hood, I'll show you a couple other things we did that just really enhanced on what was already there. It didn't make much sense to build all new inner fenders and all that stuff. And a lot of that was out of my budget anyway. I didn't have the tools to do all that sheet metal work, that kind of sheet metal work. And
right.
So we just didn't do it. So
did what you could.
Did what we could.
With the tools you had.
Yep. So the fenders are all stock. They were new. This truck originally had body side molding ran down the side. It was a custom cab, so of course it had a nice custom nameplate here originally. Door handles, sidewall, or side trim. It was a farm truck. The truck was originally purchased and sold in El Dorado, Kansas, and it spent its whole life there until I bought it in 1988.
Wow. And it's an original short bed?
Yeah, it's original short bed, big back window. The truck had a 327 4-barrel factory. It had factory air conditioning in it.
Being a custom cab.
Yeah.
So was it an automatic in it or a 3 on a tree?
It was an automatic.
Really?
Yeah, it had a 2-speed power glide in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Back in '66.
Yeah, it was a decent truck.
Yeah.
I mean, for a short bed, it was probably the most expensive one they made, but it spent its life out on the farm. I mean, the guy hauled pigs and cows and hay and corn. And, oh yeah. It was well used.
That's pretty cool
rusty
to have the history of that.
Yeah.
So on these cabs, I noticed some of them with the years between, these were 60 through 66.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Did they change the windshield to where some of them are flat, or were the older ones flat?
Yeah, the original ones had a wraparound windshield. The 60 through 63, the windshield came all the way around here.
Came all the way back.
And the A-pillar leaned back like this. And of course it had a wing vent assembly in it as well.
Right.
But yeah, the windshield wrapped around. And then in 63 or 64, they went to the standard cab like you see here on the 66. So 4, 5, and 6 had the same cab. In fact, those 3 years of trucks, unless you were familiar with the badging that was on the fender, you couldn't tell what year was what.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They had 3 different badges. They had 64 had a badge here, 65 had a badge here, and then the 66 had a badge back up there. And
were the dashes any different, or did they keep the dashes
the dash
the same
was all the same.
They...
Yep, dash was all the same.
What about with a custom truck?
Same dash.
Same?
Yeah, of course, if you had air conditioning,
well, yeah,
there was a center vent pod that they put where the ashtray normally sits.
Okay.
And they took the ashtray and mounted it under the dash, and it was a remote. It was a remote ashtray at that point if you had an air-conditioned truck.
Right. What are the mirrors off of?
The mirror is an aftermarket. I can't even remember what the name of the company is now, but it's just a urethane, composite urethane mold, and it's got a little teardrop-shaped mirror in it. And I bought one for both sides of the truck.
Right.
And normally, I really don't like an asymmetrical anything.
Right.
I mean, if I can have it symmetrical, I'll make it symmetrical. So I started on the driver's side. I mounted that mirror. I got it where I liked it. And I got in the truck, set in it. It's really small. It's really hard to see. It's almost
just
not
enough.
Functional. Yeah. And
to be legal, I guess.
So I was sitting in the cab, and my wife held the other mirror up over on the other side so we could kind of get an idea of position. Because I didn't know if I could put it in the exact same place or not.
Right.
I knew if I couldn't.
You want it in the exact.
I knew if I couldn't put it in the exact same place, I was going to have a personal issue with it.
Yes.
So
and then not being able to see out of it if it is in the exact.
So she held it over there in the same spot, and it had a longer stem on it. When you buy them, you cut the stem off and you mold them to fit the body. So she held it over there, and I sat in there. It was unusable. I mean, even though you could see it, you were so far away from it, and the mirror was so small, it was absolutely unusable. So we decided, well, I'm just not going to put it on.
Well, it's small enough that you really don't notice it.
I had 2 ideas in mind from the mirror. It was this one or a hang mirror that comes little teardrop that hangs off there.
Yep.
and there were several of them on the market. None of them were super nice. I was at the point that if I was going to do one like that, I was going to have to just build it.
Right.
And all of them that I saw that were on the market, none of them seemed to stay in place. They had set screws over on the back side of the lip, and they always just seemed to come loose or rattle or fall off. And being an engineer, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Yeah, it's just
Drive you nuts.
not a good long-term plan, so
exactly.
I didn't do that.
So you shaved the door handles.
Yep, shaved the door handles, filled all the seams in the truck, the drip lip on the roof.
Oh, wow.
It was all welded, and,
Yeah.
and then it was all filled and molded and smooth, so it all looks like
That looks like
yeah
metal.
Yeah,
The seam, everything.
The goal was to, like I mentioned earlier, I had no intention of taking it to that level of detail, but
Right.
that's just my nature, and so the goal was to make the cab look like one solid piece of material.
Right.
You know, big chunk of plastic.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing with the doors. The doors you'll see on the backside, there's no seam, there's no edges, no nothing. It all looks
Wow.
like one chunk. So
When you brought this home, how long did you have it before you started working
we had
on
it about 2 years before we actually started working on it. We bought the truck with this plan in mind. This is what we were going to do with it. Once we had the truck, I started collecting parts and buying some parts, and my wife drove the thing for a couple of years.
Right.
Every day, yeah.
Right.
Of course, it's an old farm truck. It has its issues. You know, the floorboards was so rusty. When you drive it on a rainy day, water would kick off the tire and go past your head into the back window. Every once in a while, the right front wheel cylinder would lock up. So she got really good at getting out and taking a wrench and just cracking the bleeder screw just to tickle and get the pressure off of it, and she'd drive on down the road. So it wasn't without its issues.
Wow. As we go down your pickup here, everything is smooth. Did this come with side lights originally?
No, there's no side marker lights on these trucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we get to the back. This is the part that I've noticed for years is this bed. There's not one like it. This is one of a kind, and probably never ever see one anywhere. But in this
probably
truck.
not. I'm kind of surprised because I mean it's been received really well.
Yeah.
Just the workmanship and the design and the thought process that went into it.
Right.
A truck bed is a really nice canvas to do something like this with.
Right.
It's big, it's flat, and you've been to car shows, you've seen all kinds of stuff. I mean, bed floors have gone through. The old Gold Digger truck back in I think the 70s it had an acrylic bed floor in it. And, you know, it went from there to any kind of wood species and paint and stain designs and all kinds of stuff. And being in the aircraft interior business and having access to some of the most exotic woods in the world,
Right.
we decided to do something different, and this is what we came up with.
So can you point out to me the different woods that you use through the process of the flames?
There's 5 different species of wood back here, and the background, I call it, which is the main material back here, that's quarter flamed Makeover. Up at the front, the shortest group of flames, this is quilted maple.
Okay.
And the next wood, which is this kind of reddish brown, this is Pommelet Makeover. Next to that is zebra wood, and then next to that is Tamo ash.
Tamo ash.
Tamo ash.
Do people mistaken that for burled maple?
You know, sometimes, but it's got such highly pommelade figure in it, which is what all those little shiny, those highlighted figures, that's a pommelade. The Pommelet Makeover has the same type of grain features in it as well.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned at the show that you made this bed in 3 panels.
Yes. Yeah, it was easier to install that way, easier to control where all of these bed strips were going to lay and all that. So it just made more sense. Since it's not a truck that I had to worry about each individual board getting damaged from use,
right?
Which is one reason why they made them that way, because if it got damaged, you know, a farmer or whoever could just take that board out and replace it.
Right.
So I didn't have to worry about that, obviously.
You're not going to worry about hauling anything, I would assume, back here at all.
Nope.
At all.
I've had several people ask.
They really ask if you haul.
Yeah, of course they're just.
I'm
kidding.
assuming.
They're just kidding.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So, the rear wheel tubs. These are the factory wheel tubs. I just stretched them. I went in and added 9 inches to each one of them. And
did you have a second set of tubs to do that, or you just
sheared off a couple pieces of metal once I got the right width, and basically just fit it in there. Had to remake all the flange and all that stuff down here, so it all looked like
there's
it made
a lot
sense.
of work. I mean, it all looks factory.
Yeah, and
I mean, like it was supposed to be that way.
Yeah,
and
that was the goal.
I think you knocked it out of the park on this. Are these stainless?
They're actually polished aluminum.
Polished aluminum.
Yep. About 1.5 inches wide and 3/8 of an inch thick. The bed floor itself is 3/4 of an inch thick. And so these go halfway through it.
Okay. Oh, nice. Oh, magnets.
Yep. Access to the fuel cap is underneath the bed is right there. So
very nice.
yeah, and since you use 3 magnets, you can push on the edge of it anywhere in between any of them. And
do you lay any rags down or anything when you fill it?
Yeah,
just to make sure it.
Every gas pump you go to, if you take the nozzle out,
they don't empty it, do they?
First thing I do is just drain it, and then
that's what I do when I finish.
Yeah,
is get it all out of
right. Well, you want to get everything you paid for.
Get all we paid. That's a beautiful bed. I noticed these probably had the post holes.
It did. It had steak pockets back here.
Yeah.
And it had steak pockets up here as well. I'll get the.
And I like what you did to the back, the bumper area.
Yeah, we moved the bumper, welded a roll pan in it. So I handmade all the tail lights. I handmade the tail light, third brake light in the back. I don't know if
that's nice.
You can see what those look like when they come on. But back when I was doing this, nobody sold LED anything.
Right.
And I had to rob some.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and they're the same length.
Yeah. In fact,
they match.
The LED assemblies on all 5 lights are the exact same assembly, and it's off of a Chevy Astro van.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, 1990 Chevy Astro. I looked and looked and looked. I mean, once I decided I wanted to do that, every car I followed, I was looking at the tail lights and trying to say, will that work? Will that work? Will that work? And eventually I found one that I thought would.
Right.
I didn't want anything short. I tried to find something long. And so the Astro van had a module. It had a third brake light module right above the rear doors on the roof. And I went and bought a module from the dealer, took it home, took it apart. The LED strip assembly would come right out of it. So
you went and bought
I just had to figure
4 more.
Yeah. In fact, I ended up buying 8 more.
Yeah.
I needed
you
spares.
Need more in case
So.
Very, very smart. Going around this, it's just everything is just perfect. It looks like a
open this up
piece of artwork. Electric lock.
So I found some gas trucks there again, just looking at vehicles and to see how they did it. And the little S10 Blazers, I noticed one day when I was helping a friend move some stuff, they opened their tailgate and had these little gas shocks. Well, they let go of the tailgate and it just, laid down nice and soft. And I'm like, well, that's cool. And I wondered if they would work on here. So salvage.
Yeah.
Went and got a set of them and then figure out how to mount them. And ended up having to scallop the insides of the tailgates.
Right.
And move the end over because this all needed to fit within that area. Then had to figure out how to mount it.
Man, you thought of everywhere I look on this thing.
Yeah, there's little bear claw latches that I installed there, and you can see the post. It's just a simple, clean stud that sticks out of the end.
Like a door.
And all of those parts on here are serviceable. Which was my other my other goal.
You don't want to get something you can't.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't have to redo
latches fail, and the shocks fail, and the door solenoids that open the tailgate and the doors, they fail. The doors are set up to where I can get in it. If I lose the key, the battery goes dead. I've got inside releases in case you get an accident.
Right.
And, it cuts the battery cable. You don't have any electricity. There's levers and stuff you can pull to get the doors unlatched. So it was more trouble and more work to take the door handles off than to leave them on.
But, when you have a vision in your mind and how you want it to look, you got to live with it if you don't make it the way you wish it would look.
Yeah, so that was kind of the thought process on trying to make everything as serviceable as possible. Because I'm not going to own this the rest of my life. Somebody else will own it eventually.
Yeah.
And, they're going to have problems with it. They're going to need to fix stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm sure you've got a whole list of everything that you've done to it and documentation of Astrovan and, everything you've got on it. Well, can we look under the hood?
Sure. And
I guess I do need to ask you, how wide are your tires in the back?
That's Mickey Thompson. Those are 29 1850 series, and it's 17.5-inch section width and I think a 15-inch tread width.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, and you have the same shocks on it.
Yep. Yeah, so I had a friend of mine who's an engineering genius help me with the weight distribution on these hinges. I designed those hinges, the receivers that go into the firewall, and the aluminum hinge arms. I just sat down and designed all that one day because I didn't like the original hinges on these trucks because they mounted on the side. They were big, bulky, a lot of springs, and they were just really unsightly. And so I wanted something simple, but we had to consider the motion, momentum. Of course, when it picks up, it has to clear the cowl.
Right.
And there's not a lot of room back there because you can see when that thing opens and closes. I mean, it misses by that, but it misses.
Right.
So I got the design ready, and then we had to figure out how much weight was being applied right at that location. So we took the hood, set the hood on a scale, and got the weight of the hood.
Right.
My engineering friend, like I said, he's a genius.
Yeah.
He used all the trigonometry and figured out with the weight, the pivot point, mount locations, on just how much spring pressure we were going to need on both sides to support the hood. I didn't really care if I unlatched it and it just raised it up on its own. I didn't care about that.
Right.
All I wanted to do was support it.
Right.
And
that way it doesn't start sagging over time and have
these
to change them out later.
Yeah, that's a second set of springs shocks I put on it because the old ones eventually they're gas charged nitrogen, they just leak.
What are those off of?
Those are a stableless part, and it's a made-to-order part number. I had to,
okay.
Yeah, I had to find a company that I could buy specific lengths, specific stud ball connections on the ends,
right,
and weight. They actually make them to whatever you want. I can get that same size diameter with a 50-pound spring rate or 150-pound spring rate. These are both 135, but that's what it took to support it. At that location, because you got a lot of weight hanging out in front of it.
Right.
So
yeah, and those hoods are probably heavier than the later model ones.
That hood weighs 87 pounds.
Does it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never.
It's a two-person job to get it off for sure.
Yeah.
3 is even better.
Definitely. Tell me about your inner fenders. You said you did some work on them to extend it out.
I like
the design.
I like the shape and everything of the factory inner fenders. I mean, the original trucks look pretty unsightly. I mean, they're work trucks, right? So they didn't spend much time. But once you get those things smoothed out and cleaned up, they really have some nice lines to them.
Right.
They've got a really nice support stamping in them. And this over here, once I got the springs off of it, it cleans up really nice.
Yes.
And the battery was originally mounted over here in this corner, and this
so it would have been squared off.
It would have, yeah. That inner fender had a big triangular shaped indention stamped in it for the battery to nestle in there. And the support rib that they stamped in there, it stopped about right here.
Right.
So I cut that triangular portion out of it and looked at one side, looked at the other side. Well, it was not symmetrical.
Right.
So I did go to a salvage and buy another inner fender just so I could cut one of those support bend ribs out of it.
Right.
And then
and extend it out.
Filled all that in, so both of them look exactly the same. And they look like
it's really sleek,
custom-made, hand-built inner fenders, but they're not. They're just the original factory parts.
And you did something here?
Yeah. These also had some big bumps stamped into them from the factory. Cut all those out. Had a couple bumps, one on each side. Cut all that stuff out. Smoothed all that up. Put a cross-flow radiator in it. It's about 2.5 inches thick. I needed a way to hold that down, so we built this strut. The original radiator was about this tall, and it just wasn't going to work. I mean, it's
you won't be able to see your blower.
And it was a downflow. It had a nice, big brass tank on it. It was actually a beautiful radiator, but just wasn't what I was after. So, and this is a sprint car radiator. It came with no fittings in it or nothing.
You had to make it fit.
Yep, we had to weld all the bungs for the radiator inlet, outlet, tranny cooler, and everything else had to be welded into it. The hold down, pretty simple. It's just a bent angle, and I put these 3 ribs on here.
Right.
It's the same 3 ribs that are on the dash where the glove box used to be. So tried to try some styling inside and outside.
Bring it into the
And
I like
that same thought process was with the zebra wood on the throttle blades there. I've got zebra wood in the tail, in the bed of the truck. I've got zebra wood on the steering wheel and zebra wood on there, and those are all hand painted. Jason Jewett did the artwork for me on that. I could have put veneer on it, but I didn't have any zebra wood, solid zebra wood at the time that I could actually make the steering wheel insert. So I asked him if he could paint it, and he said sure. So he painted that, and he painted the steering wheel to look like zebra wood. Yeah,
looks real.
Yeah, he is really, really good.
This truck is really a piece of art. It really is.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just a lot of little stuff. These panels in the back right through here. This big support stopped right there. So there
So
was
you
just,
carried it on around.
yeah, there were just big black holes back there when
Yeah.
you stand there and stared at it. And I thought, well, maybe I can
thought
fi-
of
yeah, I
every
can fill
angle
that
on
in.
this
So
thing.
I filled it in.
Wow.
Firewall's been smoothed. You know, used to have a heater box, you know, that
Right.
hung on the front
Yeah.
of it. So took that off, smoothed all that up. Different steering column. It's got an I Did It steering column in it. The master cylinder is a Dodge Omni.
Really?
Yeah, yep. It's just at the time it was just it would fit. The bore size was very similar to the bore size that was on here originally.
Right.
And it had manual brakes originally, and I really didn't want a big ugly brake booster hanging
Right.
on the. So I figured if it was going to be out there, it might as well look good.
Yes.
So I found one that was all aluminum, stripped all the paint off of it, smoothed it all up, polished it, and
Well, I noticed the proportion of it's a little bit longer, so
Yeah.
it kind of looks like it's more proportion with the valve cover
yep.
than something just a little small sticking out. What size engine is this?
It's a 350 4-bolt main. Been bored 40 thousandths over. It's probably, I haven't done the math, I'm sure it's somewhere around 360
Oh,
cubic
really?
inch probably.
360.
It's got a 671 GMC blower on it, makes 12 pounds of boost.
Wow.
And the engine dynoed at 527 horsepower at 5,500 RPM.
55.
55. So
That's
there's
not even carrying it
no,
up there, and you know
no,
it'll
it's-
go higher than that.
It's fully balanced. I've twisted it to 7 grand before, so I know it'll go.
You know to go.
Yeah.
So two Edelbrock carbs.
Yep.
What are those? Are those like the 1405s, or are they?
Yes,
is
yeah,
that what
they
are?
had that. I think they call it Endurochrome or some series
Mm-hmm.
that they came out with, and I had several people tell me, "Oh, you'll never get those to run with a supercharger." And
And you did.
oh yeah, they couldn't tell me why I'd
Right.
never get it to run, but they
'cause
just
they-
said
it's
you got to
because-
have a Holly. You got to run Hollies.
It's because they couldn't get theirs
Yeah,
to run.
so
possibly.
there again, it's just a matter of the right jet sizes and the right metering rods and bump up springs, and it runs good.
I even
Absolutely.
like seeing the way you did your fuel gauge on your fuel
Yeah,
rail.
yeah. I built,
It just
I built,
everything's built
Yep.
really nice.
I
and
built the
detailed.
fuel log, and there again, it was simple, just a big aluminum tube, and
Mm-hmm.
we welded a plate on the inside back there.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine get in there once I had the pieces made, I had to set that plate back in there almost an inch, and he was able to get in there with his TIG torch and put a nice bead around the inside of that, and
Wow.
welded the backside, and I just drilled and tapped everything after that.
That's pretty cool.
It's clean,
Yes. Everything's clean on this. Your radiator hoses are solid, or are those covers?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, these here are not. That's solid stainless.
That's solid.
Yeah,
and
those
they
are solid.
hook-
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's
it's got
pretty neat.
rubber couplings, just at the ends, and I made these clamp covers. Just wrap some stainless and
That's nice.
then because you can slide them off to get to the clamp if you need to.
And you don't see the clamp.
Yeah, it just covers up that worm gear.
Very
for you.
nice. Well, I'd like to take a ride.
Okay. We should do that before it gets dark.
Yes, it's getting there. It's retro style. Flip off or wake off. These old cabs are. This is a little bit bigger than mine.
Well,
I think it is.
and this I took the wing vent assemblies out of
Oh,
here.
maybe that's why it
And
seems bigger.
It does. It seems a lot bigger. And
Yeah.
when I took those out and I had to build glass run channels on the forward end of the door, I had to get inside that door and cut a bunch of structure out of that to get room for the glass to run in it.
Oh, nice. For the full piece.
Yeah.
Wow, this is smooth in here. Just
Yeah,
sitting in
it's-
it, you think.
it's
I
quiet.
thought it was going to be, it's not.
Yeah.
This thing is
When
smooth.
the windows are up and you're driving, it is quiet in here. And it
Yeah.
rides good. I mean, the proper spring rate, and of course
And I tell you what, this seat is very comfortable. And like mine, I had to put a different seat in it to make it thin in the back because my legs feel like they're
clear up
up like this. So just for reference for people on my channel, I have a 68, which is the next generation body style.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to ride in one that's a little bit older. that dash is real pretty. That does match everything you did.
I cut the glove box, removed the glove box,
Uh-huh.
and just smoothed the whole dash out.
Yeah, this is real sleek. Looking at all your gauges too. Oh, it really went. You can tell I was starting to. Had to put my hands down because I didn't know what to expect. Oh, wow. Man, that was still turning.
Yeah.
I think it was turning the whole time.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, that thing pulls.
Yeah, these new tires on here have a softer rubber compound than the old Mickeys I had on there. The old ones
Right.
were so hard.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I could lay into the throttle at 60 miles an hour and they would literally start spinning.
Wow.
And of course, you know, the back end starts getting kind
Getting
of
swirly.
sashaying around.
Yeah.
And it's kind of an uncomfortable feeling going 60 miles an hour. And
Yeah.
the back end starts to wash out.
And I like the sound of that blower, the whine to
Yeah.
it. You know, it's just.
Yeah, this is more fun than a guy ought to legally be allowed to have.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
You can have this fun. Oh, I like your blinkers. That's cool. Shifts real smooth too. No jerk. And it doesn't.
And it's hard if you want it to.
Yeah. Boy, it does ride. Really smooth.
Yeah, it's a
Thing's
smooth ride.
nice.
This thing rides better than my '99 Tahoe. Way better.
Yeah.
It's choppy and it's got all Beltec suspension on it. It just sucks.
Wow. Wow. Boy, it really took. You can tell it just started, even up in the, it started breaking loose clear at the top when you shifted. Wow. How many horse you say that?
527 and like I said, that's 5,500 RPM.
Wow, that's. I think my favorite word today was wow.
Wow.
It's just- that was fun.
Yeah, for the no more weight that's on the back of these trucks. I mean,
But it moves.
yeah.
It really takes off and goes for the weight.
Yeah.
And I was surprised because you would think it would just sit there and
Spin.
just smoke them.
Yeah.
But it projects you pretty quick.
Yeah, this was the first time I've got on it since I put these new tires on it.
Oh, cool.
I really like
You
them.
like them?
Yeah, my other ones they'd just spin.
Yeah.
No grip at all.
Well, it felt like we were moving there for a little bit.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Clear at the top there.
I like the feel of your guts.
Yeah.
You know, pushing back against your spine.
Yeah, you can feel it. I mean, I did. I was like, grab it. Okay,
you know
where do I grab?
You know it's hooking up a little.
Yes, it was. And then it started like sliding each way.
Yeah, and that was shit, quarter throttle.
Was it?
It wasn't anywhere near the floor.
Man. But when you're not used to being something that quick,
Yeah.
it feels quick. It's like getting on a roller coaster because you don't ride a roller coaster every day. Oh, man. That was fun. Gave a show to all the neighbors and the passerbys. Well, Brian, I really want to thank you for
Certainly.
meeting with me. And like I said, I've seen your truck for many years at the automobile show, and you know, I just
Glad
can't
you
believe I'm
like
just now meeting you. But yeah, I love this thing. I always seek it out and I look at it, go around one more time. Always try to seek it out whenever I see it. I don't pass it up. I got to look at it again because there's always something else that I see.
Yeah, when I left the Hayesville show that afternoon, got out of the park, got over there on Meridian, and got just over the bridge on the big ditch over there, and it just shut down. I mean, it just quit.
Really?
I mean, it, like somebody just shut the key off.
What'd you find out?
I don't know. I have no idea what caused it.
So did it eventually start up?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I pulled over and stopped, and my grandson, of course, was with me.
Right.
And he was just out in front of me, so he pulled over and stopped. And yeah, I just pulled over to the right, put it in neutral, and so I got a neutral safety switch in it.
Yeah.
When I first turned the key, it didn't do anything. It's like the key was dead. And then shut it back off, turn the key back off, turn it back on, fired right up. So something is awry in there somewhere.
Something shorting out, maybe.
I don't know if it's the switch. I have no idea.
Is that the original switch? No.
No, it was an aftermarket switch, yeah. Because I wanted to get the same design around all the
Yeah, that looks really nice.
knobs and
It's cool to see the light
yeah.
on your dash. I may have to get a picture with your dash with the lights on. I just noticed your pedals are chrome, or they're is that stainless?
No, it's chrome.
Is it?
Yeah, they're chrome. Yeah.
And the arms?
Yeah, the arms they're all steel. The brake lever's aluminum.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, lever. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I just can't believe how smooth this thing rides.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go home and ride mine, and I'm gonna wish it was a road like this.
It rides as smooth as that Suburban of my wife's.
Oh, that I can hear that cam loping.
Yeah,
It's kind of a long lope.
it is. It's not a really big camshaft. We wanted to put something in it that was mild because I hate sitting in the car going home.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's fun and all.
But you can hear it enough.
Yeah, for drivability, that's just terrible.
Guess what? It runs great.
Yeah.
So.
You might have felt that little tiny tick when we went over that bump.
Yeah.
My header's touching that.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
So this is that low. So you're gonna. Oh, you said you were gonna.
And it only does it when two people are in the car. If one person in there, it doesn't run.
So
But
the weight?
two people, yeah.
Huh. Just enough.
Yep. Trying to get this fairly close for her.
Sure. All right, everyone, we just got back from a ride in this beautiful 1966 Chevrolet pickup. I wanted to thank all of you for watching till the very end of this video, and I want to thank Brian for sharing this beautiful truck with us. Anyways, please click that subscribe button down below. That's the best way to support my channel. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this one. We'll see you next time on Dude with an Autotude.